Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is yet another day, a new day, a bright Sunday, a day that the Lord has made, that we should all be glad and rejoice in it. You don't like this day. Which other day would you prefer? Indeed, over here it is very sunny, between 30 to 32 degrees Celsius, which we are very pleased and blessed to have this kind of weather around this time of the year. We thank God for yet another day. Today is also another episode of health issues coming right to your doorsteps from Richmond Media. Wherever you are, we encourage you to contact your family members, share the link to everyone that you know, ask them to join us this afternoon so that the good news that Richmond Media is bringing to all of us will reach everyone, including our friends and family members. Today, the topic for today is preventive measures of TB. Someone may not know what TB is, but that is the trick that our guests will introduce us into the journey of what we are talking about, TB. This afternoon, we are blessed to have our own Brother George Ackon, with us. Brother George, you're welcome to Richmond Media once again. Brother George, you're welcome to Richmond Media once again. We're not hearing your voice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe by His grace, and as He said, with the sunny and that hot weather, we are all fine like the hotness of the weather. Our viewers and our listeners, I know we are all fine like the hotness of the weather.
Thank you so much, brother, for your time and everything. You are a very devoted to this platform, which we are very blessed to have you once again. To our
Well,
friends and family, we appreciate you, acknowledge you, and recognize you a lot. So, therefore, we encourage you to send us a comment so that we'll be able to appreciate you wherever you are. Brother George, today's topic is very special because it's a very, very peculiar subject that we are going to be discussing here this afternoon. Some people might be thinking it's not existing or in existence because recently we don't hear much of it. But some years back, it was very, very, very crucial to our health. So it makes it more important to everyone around us, or for us all to know that that condition is not phased out. It's still around us. What can we do? What is it, and what can we do to prevent it? What are the signs that we should be looking into in order for us to recognize it? Though we cannot diagnose it by ourselves unless investigations are being done. But sometimes when you see the fire coming from the mountains, as many people will say, then you know definitely you can, what should I say, presumed what kind of fire is it very close to your door. What are the precautions that you have to put in place in order for that not to reach out to you? So, Brother George, the platform is yours at the moment. How can, anyway, first you have to give us the overview of what tuberculosis is, what TB is. I was hiding it, but my lips couldn't allow me to. So please, Brother George, over to you.
okay. Um, we want to thank our viewers and our listeners once again for allowing us to come into wherever you can hear us or watch us. Before we move on to the topic two, I want to also um, give something out. Last week we've entered another week. So on Friday, my wife celebrated her birthday. So before I start, we thank all those who prayed for the family and all those who sent their wishes to her. At the same time, yesterday too, there was a baby dedication, and we thank everyone for the massive support. It happened in Ghana, in the Volta region, Kwando. So we want to thank the Kwando Church, the choristers, and anyone, Root of Our Health platform members, and other people, all of us, for making it possible. Now we move on to today's topic for our discussion: TB. Anywhere you see some people wearing some shirts, stop TB and co. It's not someone's name that we have abbreviated, but it's a condition: tuberculosis. You know, when we take diseases, we have infectious diseases, and we will say lifestyle diseases. So communicable diseases and non-communicable diseases. The difference is that for communicable diseases, you can get it from an infected person. But for non-communicable diseases, you will get that condition based on your lifestyle. And per classification, tuberculosis falls under communicable diseases. It means your lifestyle is there, but if you are not careful, adequate and continuous exposure with an infected person, you might, at the end of the lesson, knows how you will be able to harbor such infection into your system. So recently, as Mr. Hanna, you were saying, because the adverts and the promotion is not regularly ongoing, unlike first, people think that it's no more in the system, like the HIV too. You see, people think it's no more in the system, like that. But let's take note that because an advert or programs are not frequently ongoing like first during the serious pandemic, doesn't mean the condition is not in the system. Recently, in Ghana, when you are watching most of the news, the health news and co, you realize that it's becoming a health concern because it's like it's again increasing. So TB is something that is in the system, and we need to take this lesson important. So tuberculosis is one of the most prevalent infections of human beings. When I talk about prevalent, means that there are existing infections commonly in that consider illness. When you have this TB and you are not careful and you have seen someone, how the person becomes something that we don't joke with it. So with incidents, meaning that this condition increased in occurring, like TB has become a problem, especially in countries like the USA, India. India is the highest TB burden country. Yeah, and they have about 20 cases of this condition that we are treating on. Each year, about 1.8 million develop TB. And when you are taking in India, 0.8 million people die because of TB every year. And you know that now it's not limited to a particular place, but rather globally, the entire world. TB is an infectious condition that you can get it there. It's an infectious condition primarily affecting the lungs when it starts to occur. Primarily, meaning that the beginning, it starts affecting or targeting the lungs. And you know that the lungs play a major role on our upkeep and our health. So if a condition or an infectious organism is targeting the lungs, it means you need to know how serious the condition can become. And most people also always think of only the lungs that you can have TB. No, not only the lungs. This condition or the cause, that bacteria, is a bacterial infection, Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Aside the lungs, it again spread to other parts of the body, including the covering of the brain that we call the meninges. So when it's been affected through TB, or with TB, you can have meningitis. Then also it can help it can affect your kidney. So tuberculosis that we are talking about is not only lung related condition, it can lead to kidney related problems. It can affect your bones. So most people are complaining long term of joint pains, bone pains. They are being treated with painkillers. It's not going. But take note that this lesson, tuberculosis, can affect the joint or your bones as well. So when we talk about this TB, it's worldwide second most common cause of death, infectious diseases, after HIV and AIDS. So it's something serious that we need to take note. So this is a brief overview of the condition that we are gradually diving into. So note that it's not only to the lungs. It can go outside the lungs, affect your blood, your bones, your kidney, and your brain. So we need to be mindful of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother George, for giving us the overview of tuberculosis. Now the name is unveiled, so I can pronounce it as it is. To my sister-in-law, Josephine Adebi, Mrs. Ackon, we continue to wish you happy belated birthday and congratulations to you both as well for the baby, a successful baby dedication. Now I am an auntie, you see. You see, oh, we have some questions here. So from our Sister Christina Sapon, thank you. We've missed you so much. It says, good afternoon, Hannah. Sister Hannah, I'm happy to join Richmo to listen to this important topic. Thank you so much, Sister Christina Sapon. We're missing you so much here, wherever that you have been. We thank God that He has brought you back safely. And see, Doris, Rabbi. Is it Rabbi or Rabbi?
Rabbi.
Rabbi, okay. Sister Doris says, wow, thank you so much, Sister Doris, for joining us this afternoon. And Sister Christina Sapon continued to say that God bless you, Brother Ackon, for always sharing with us necessary health topic. Thank you so much, Sister Christiana Sapon. Please send our greetings to the Amsterdam Church and the neighborhood of Amsterdam. Tell them the good news that we have here from Richmond Media to everyone who come and join us to have their part of the benefit of what tuberculosis can do to our health and how we can prevent ourselves from it. Brother George, so in this case, if we know the overview of tuberculosis, how can one spread this to other?
Okay. This is something serious, and we need to note that ideally most people are having tuberculosis, but they are not exhibiting the symptoms, and we call it as the latent stage of the tuberculosis. So we have individuals walking around that harbors this mycobacterium tuberculosis, but because possibly or probably their immune system are stronger than this mycobacterium tuberculosis, they are the latent stage, meaning that they are the waiting room. But tuberculosis can be spread when someone has gone through the latent stage to the infectious stage. The droplets from such individual. So how can you get the droplet? The droplet can be through sneezing on you. The droplet can be through talking, as we talk directly to people. Possibly some people will water you. Not that the intentional. No, it's just a way. As you are talking, some things will be coming out. So the droplet from someone talking onto you, if the person is an infected person, that's another way, medium. Another thing is, you see, when we are amazed and we are laughing together, you are not careful, someone can overlaugh, and a droplet can you can get in contact with the droplet, it's also a clue. So it can be spread through this tiny droplet and through the saliva as well. So when you get this from the cough of the infected person, sneezing onto you, or swallowing the saliva from an infected person, this microbacterium, that's the causative organism, will get its medium to enter your system. And whenever it enters, then the chaos begins to occur. So these are the mediums that you can spread it. Lastly, is those who are having the condition, but they are not having a proper disposal of their sputum, the phlegms. You see, some people, as they cough, because it's one of the signs, they produce phlegms. That's what we call the sputum. And they'll be pouring in a container cover. They will do it nicely. But when it reaches the disposal, improper disposal will again lead to the spread of the microbacterium into the air, and as people get in contact with it, inhale infected the droplets, people begins to be also infected. So these are the medium that people use to share. The sharing and the caring of the condition is this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother George. If now that we know how it's being transferred or is being spread or is being shared to other people, then do we have different types of tuberculosis at all? And if we have, what are they, please?
Okay, yeah, we have types of tuberculosis. So when it affects the lungs, that's why we call it pulmonary tuberculosis. Pulmonary tuberculosis. Pulmonary means he's talking about the lungs. Our viewers should forget about that longest name, but lungs. If it's pertaining to your lungs, that's what we call pulmonary tuberculosis. Outside your lungs is what we call the extra pulmonary tuberculosis. It means that the person is having TB in the bones. TB as a result of TB affecting the blood. TB or tuberculosis affecting the meninges or the brain, the covering of the brain. That's what we call the meninges. So those outside, TB affecting the kidney, they are extra outside. But we said that the pulmonary TB, there is Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Again, we have what we call bovine tuberculosis. With the bovine tuberculosis, people get it through infected cattle. So you might be covering your mouth, preventing yourself for people to talk to you or on you, to be spitting on you. But the cattle you are eating, if it's an infected cattle and you get that condition, it's as a result of the bovine tuberculosis. Then also we have a TB that we get from birds. And that one too we call the avian tuberculosis. That's also from birds. So you are refraining from this, but you are taking the birds. Those one too, you get it. Then we have the TB that invade into the blood that we call the miliary tuberculosis. So these are some of the types. So not only the lungs, as most people used to know, oh, it's a lung-related condition. Yes, that's the major target place, but it can go outside the lungs. And aside that, to the root of its causes, through animal medium too, you can get this TB. So we need to be mindful of whatever we are chewing out there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother George. You said fine. If you are having beef and the cow, whatever name that we keep it, was being infected, then you can also get it. But here is the case: it has been cooked properly. Can it also affect someone? Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, you still stand the chances of getting this because most of the diseases from our animals, especially our cooks, they don't have that much time to even overcook particular meats for us, especially those who are eating the animal product. So if you have taken the meat or the cow, you see now, even the overcooked ones, people don't like, or the dried ones, people don't like it. To dry it and do no. But they want, you see, when there is blood and the flesh, that's what people seems like is tasty and it's nice for them. But what we need to note is that if you are not careful and you are eating a cattle or a cow from an infected person, you stand the chances of getting it. And the one I forget, do you know that we have a type? If monkey, you are those areas that they have monkey, an infected monkey coughs on you, you are also likely to get this condition. So that one too is what I'll add to it.
Wow. It's a bit complicated. The reason why I'm saying that is, we are told that if we cook, if we overcook our food stuff, then we are losing the nutrients. Here is the case that even if you don't cook it properly, that also has its own way of affecting our health. So I think now we will end up not eating anything because we
That would
don't know
be
what to do.
that would be best for, especially when it regards to meat eating. It will be best that but we need to take caution, because we are talking about the various routes. Because someone might be having the TB, but he will say, oh, I'm always indoor, I don't go out. I'm always indoors, I don't go out. But he forgets that it's not only someone coughing on you that you might, or you stand the chances of getting this, but through those mediums. So it will help our viewers, our listeners, and we ourselves on selecting what to eat and what to chew.
Thank you so much. If that is the case, if we know how to select whatever goes in there, that will help our health, or it will help us to maintain our health. So, what are the risk factors of tuberculosis, please?
Okay, so the risk factors here, we want to explain or highlight on some things that can predispose you, the individual, of getting tuberculosis. Another risk factors is that some people also stand it. So in simple, the chances, some people have higher chances of getting tuberculosis. Number one is that someone who is have a close contact with someone who have active tuberculosis, because we've talked about the latent tuberculosis. That's the stage where you harbor the infection, all right, but you cannot infect other one. That's the latent. But if you are staying with someone who have been diagnosed of active tuberculosis, you sleep with a person indoor, you are always with a person, you stand the chances of getting this tuberculosis. That's a risk factor. The second risk factor is those who are immunocompromised, meaning that they have low immune system, their ability to fight an infection. They, for example, like the aged, some aged, you see, as they are growing, they becomes weaker and they have low immune system comparing to some others. So when you want to compare based on age, then we will tell you that the aged, they stand at a higher risk of, when you are exposed to someone who is having this condition. Those who are abusing drugs, because, and alcohol, those who are taking alcohol, because this condition will weaken this thing, the alcohol and those abusing drug will weaken your immune system. And if your immune system is being weakened and you get the chance to get this condition, fighting the bacteria out from your system becomes a problem, and you have a different thing to also talk about. The next one is people lacking adequate health care. You see, some individuals, they will be in the house, slight cough or body weakness, because of money or because of their reasons, they are not able to get access to a health care to get the adequate treatment. When it happens like that, maybe at the initial stage was the way the science was just coming up. But when you are not getting this adequate healthcare because of financial issues and other issues, what happens is that the sickness will weaken you. And if it's not even TB and other conditions, because your immune system will be weakened, you are at risk of also getting this condition when you are exposed to an individual of this sort. And those who are having pre-existing medical condition, like the chronic conditions like the kidney issues, diabetes issues, and the cancers as well. Then also individuals who are living from an infected or infectious countries. So if you are staying at a country where it's at the increase and everyone here and there is being diagnosed of the TB, you stand at the risk of you also getting this. Then occupation like with the health workers, you stand the chances, because always if you have TB patient at your facility, you cannot say that I will not take care of because the person is having TB. So healthcare professionals, you stand the chances of getting this pulmonary tuberculosis that we are talking about. So these are some of the risk factors, or those individuals who are at risk of getting tuberculosis.
Are you okay, brother? Your line was
Yeah.
showing. So
So these are the risk factors that I was mentioning.
thank you so much for
Welcome.
giving us the factors contributing to tuberculosis. Now, what is the pathophysiological state of tuberculosis, please?
Okay, with the
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like the network
yeah.
from Ghana is not helping us at the
Yeah.
moment, so
So
please bear with us. Yeah.
when we talk about the pathophysiology, we are talking about how the disease occurs within our system. The physiology is how normally it occurs. But so this is how it occurs briefly. When I am staying with Sister Hanna, then I am infected. We are using the two of us to explain how it occurs. So since I am infected and we are talking, then I talk, my saliva or my droplet reach her end, or when I sneeze on her because I am infected, the bacteria, that's the Mycobacterium tuberculosis bacteria, get access into her system. Now, when it gets access into her system, the first target area is the lungs. When it gets into the lungs and her lungs too, or she is not able to fight this condition, what happens is that initially the lungs, within the lungs, we have what we call the sieves, alveoli within the lungs. And within the lungs, that alveoli is where the bacteria is also targeting. And when it begins targeting, the cells there, the cells that are protecting those areas, will see this TB bacteria as a foreigner. Then they will begin to fight it within the lungs. Now, if he is not able to fight me, my bacteria, then it gets access and join the blood. From there, it passes through into the blood. Then it means it's going to infect or affect her blood too. And since blood is still moving like water in a gutter, and it gets into the kidney, and still the cells in the kidney are not able to fight it, I will gain, my bacteria will gain strength again and overcome those at the kidney, and it will affect the kidney. If it's not able to, then it passes through again, go into the bones. When it gets into the bones and those there also are not able to fight me, I will also be able to destroy the bones. Then I'm taking upper hand. So from the lungs into the blood, it gets into the kidney. Then blood is also pumping into the heart. The heart will also get its also own problem. then from the heart into the brain, and the brain too, if the brain too is not able to get it, then it will overcome. Then at the end, it will bring drastically signs on her, and she will begin to be losing weight, to be coughing, having body weakness, signs like fevers and cold will be manifesting. So this is how, when she is not, her immune system is not strong to fight, but if her immune system is strong and she harbors it, because her immune system is strong, she will be at the latent stage, because she cannot infect others. But when her immune system is also weaker, from the latent stage, because the bacteria will still be within her, it will progress to the infected stage. Then when she also cough on the third person, then the process continue. The third person's to the lungs will be target. Then from there, in the blood, from blood, the kidney, the bones, and we will be spreading. So from me to her, from her to the next person, if care is not taken, we will be spreading it like that. So this is how it occurs within the system before I also infect someone outside my system. That's the simplest form, my viewers and listeners, we can put it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother Ackon, for giving us that in-depth explanation of the physiological aspects of tuberculosis. What are the clinical manifestations of TB, please?
Okay. So clinical manifestation means that what will come up for someone to say that, it's like now you are getting sick, but they might not know the particular sickness you are suffering from. Those are the things. These are suggested. It doesn't mean that whatever we are going to mention, if you fall within, means that you have tuberculosis. No. But it's some of the signs that will help you to prove further, to know that why am I not having these signs, but recently I'm having these signs. Number one is night sweat. Doesn't mean your room is not hot, but you were not having profuse night sweat. But this is the stage that all of a sudden you begin to be having night sweat. It's one of the clinical manifestations. Another thing is that easy fatigue, it means easy tiredness. You see, within the lungs will help to sieve our blood. And when our blood is oxygenated blood, when it contains adequate oxygen, you will not feel easy tiredness. So when your lungs is being targeted because of this bacteria, you are going to have tiredness, easy tiredness. Then you have weight loss. There will be weight loss. So and she's walking, because such individual begins to also be losing weight, So weight loss, not that the person is fasting, he's eating, he's doing everything, but he's having weight loss. Don't take it to be like you are losing weight. No, not that aspect is what we are talking about. Then also there will be difficulty in breathing, because you see the lungs, it will help you in having equal breathing, that as we are all talking, we are breathing well. There's no sound that will be heard by anyone. So there will be difficulty in breathing. It's also a sign of tuberculosis. There will be chest tightness. It's like you wearing tightness. I want to explain, like you wearing a very tight cloth, and as before you were about to wear, your food was ready. Then after wearing, before you went to eat your banku or your fufu, you see how heavy, how tightness and your chest, you feel that sign is what we are saying. So chest tightness, it's like some tight feeling within the chest is also a sign. Then you have cough. By the way, this cough, it can last for days to weeks, like 2 weeks. So when you are having a persistent cough lasting longer, don't take it like, oh, because of the weather, that's why I'm coughing. Yes, It's the same weather, but your neighbor or your wife is not coughing. It's the same weather, but people at your workplace are not coughing. So don't take it slightly. Prolonged cough, persistent cough. Please take note. It's a sign of it. Then chest pains. Chest pain. So these are some of the clinical signs that will suggest whenever you go to a place, you tell the person, I've coughed for more than a week. With that alone will give an impression like, okay, what am I suspecting? Is it tuberculosis or this, before they can prove further to do another investigation to confirm either it's just normal lung condition like pneumonia or asthma or just TB. Thank you. So and to add to it also, we mentioned that it can affect your bones. So you have joint pains. So we have individuals who have been having joint pains or body pains, but they overlooked. Whenever it comes, they go to over-the-counter drugs and buy any pain medication, but it's not going. It just relieve them. But TB can also lead to these joint issues. So we need to also be mindful of it. Thank you. Yeah, so we are done with the clinical manifestations of the tuberculosis.
Thank you so much, Brother George, for stepping into my difficulties. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We really acknowledge you and we respect you so much for spending your time with us. So therefore, we encourage you to just drop comments and we can acknowledge. If you don't drop it, we wouldn't know who is watching us over there. Brother George, so if that is the case, then how can it be diagnosed at all?
Okay. So TB can be diagnosed, one, based on your clinical presentation. Clinical presentation here means that you just walk into the facility to see your doctor or your prescriber. Then as you begin, I've been having this nice sweat, but of late or previously it wasn't like that. Then I'm also coughing, but this cough has lasted for like a week or two. And it comes with shortness of breath, difficulty in breathing. When I do something small, then I'm tired. Then aside that one, you realize that I'm losing weight. So based on your clinical presentation, it will give a clue that this one goes closer to TB than the other lung-related condition. So your clinical presentation, that speaks one. Number two, the individual or your prescriber will now prove further to do what we call the sputum for gene culture and sensitivity. So he will let you produce your phlegms, not your saliva, your phlegms, because with the phlegms you will cough within from your lungs out, but saliva, it can be the watery in your mouth that you spit into that container. That's why we encourage that you can do like a deep breathing, then you cough deeply from your lungs, because we are saying the bacteria will target the lungs. So if you cough phlegms from the lungs, note that within the lungs we have the slippery thing like the phlegms within. So if the bacteria get it access to it, it will be attached within. So if you cough from the lungs, we will be able to note, and per investigation will help us to know if indeed is relating to TB or not. For culture and sensitivity, culture means that they can harbor this through some duration. So if it's so many bacteria within the phlegms and it's TB, after the culture means they harboring it and it's not done at any place, the lab, they will be able to know the quantity of the bacteria that's within your phlegms or your sputum. Then sensitivity, they will be able to also know which medications or which things you are sensitive to, so that it will help anyone who wants to treat you know the correct things to prescribe for you. Then we have what we call chest X-ray. Not because you came to the prescriber that you are having chest pains, cough means it's TB. He needs to prove further because we have so many chest or lung problems that might suggest whatever you are saying. So when you take the lungs, the X-ray of the lungs will give us a structure of the lungs, and the findings will help us to know that, oh, not heart condition, but rather lungs, and it's suggesting tuberculosis. So X-ray of the chest also is a key. Another thing is what we call the tuberculin skin test. Tuberculin skin test. This way, you go to your provider. They will inject you on with something. Then they will let you to go for 2 days or 3 days to come back. When you come back, they will measure. The measurement will help them diagnose that you reacted on it to this angle, so it suggests TB. Or although we have done this investigation, but there was no suggestion of tuberculosis. So these are some of the investigations that we can do, cardinal one, to also prove further, in addition with your presenting signs and symptoms. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother George. Coming closer to the end of the program, um, what are the complications of tuberculosis, and how can we prevent tuberculosis at the same time? Thank you.
Thank you. You realize that whenever you have a condition, it will first give you some signs. When you overlook, then you visit a facility, your prescriber assess you and tell you whatever you are going through. Still, you would not pay closer attention. Then the cause is really invading into your system. Complication means the worst state. The worst state of it. It means that if you are not taking care of it and it's increasing, you have bone-related problems, so spinal issues, joint problems will result. That's one complication. Number two, brain issues, because we have talked that it will affect the meninges, the surrounding of the brain, and that's what we call, when it's inflamed, then we call meningitis. Itis means inflammation, and meninges is the protective layer of the brain. So when the meninges is inflamed, then we call it meningitis. So you have that problem. And when you have the meningitis too, and or brain related complication, you see the brain controls our entire being. So dizziness will be occurring, frequent headaches and and those anger, confusion all can set in. That's why individuals, you say sit, then the person is walking up, he feeling restless because the condition was not managed or was not handled well. The next one is that it can affect the kidney. So you'll be having kidney related problems. So infection of the kidney, either one side or both sides. And you know the kidney is not only located into one side, both sides. So if both sides are being infected, your kidney is also going to filter anything that you have ingested, and it will help you bring it out as a form of urine. So if your kidney is also infected, it means there's going to be a whole lot within your system. So we need to also be mindful of it. Then it will affect your heart. So you have heart-related condition. It's another complication of this. Then also some people will now be coughing blood. So we have individuals who now cough, then bloody phlegms. So that's also a complication. Then you can have respiratory failure. Respiratory failure here means that it doesn't mean that you have respiratory arrest. The difference is that arrest means it has stopped working. But failure means that it's working, but it's not able to meet the body's demands. That's where you have that. When you have the respiratory failure, that's where most of your body organs and your blood will not get adequate oxygen. Then you begin to be having so many problems, to the result that your lungs, since it will not be able to get adequate air or oxygenated blood, it will begin to collapse. Then we call it atelectasis, the collapse of the lungs. So these are some of the complications of tuberculosis that we are talking about. And you realize that whenever you are even having the tuberculosis, one complete people, stigmatization is a whole lot. Yes, so these are some of it. And per the preventive measures, as we talked about, the preventive measures here means that, one, I would take it about, if you have someone being diagnosed of tuberculosis, either the person is breastfeeding, when the person is breastfeeding, please, you take the child from the individual for us to be able to treat the person well, else he will infect the child. So if it's a breastfeeding mother, take note. Yes, if it's your wife or husband, then mechanism needs to put in place so that you isolate the TB person before you be sleeping with that person to also be infected. Now, if you have isolated the person, my next preventive measures in the house is that get onion, and put the onion, you can chop them, put in a plate, place it in a plate, and put the onion
Brother George. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like the network in Ghana is not really helping us this afternoon, but I'm sure Brother George would just get himself back on board. We are almost done for the day with health issues, which Brother George was talking about how we can prevent ourselves from getting TB, sorry, and if we get a TB, which is tuberculosis, what we can do in order to have a long life, what we can do to preserve ourselves from complications of TB. And he has also given us the pathophysiological aspect of TB, the journey, how TB affects us. He has also given us the overview of TB. I think he has done enough for the day. So we will call it a day. And from here, we are continuing with the other program called From the Beginning Life Experience. So please come along with us so that we can all share an experience of a creative director. Brother George is back, and I think he can conclude for us. Brother George, please conclude for us.
Okay, so get onion, put at the corners in your room. When you put it there, you realize that the onion will be able to trap the bacteria within the room. So it will make anyone who be entering that room is like a natural purifier. So the next day you enter it, you see that the onion has turned to be black. So it means it has that ability to be able to trap the bacteria that will be within the area the individual is sleeping. Then also proper disposal of the sputum. You've done a good job coughing into a bottle or a container, but make sure that before you dispose it, you dig a hole, then you pour it in it, then you cover. That's the proper way. Then we need to make sure that whenever you are cooking or serving an individual, when you are serving an individual, refrain from talking a lot, because if you are infected and you are serving an individual, you are harboring this infection. Through that, you can also infect an individual. So in your room should be well ventilated, meaning that let's allow air, quality air and sun exposure within our rooms so that it will help us. Then also steaming. You boil water, pour in a cup or a container, then do the steam inhalation. That's where you close your mouth, deeply, slowly inhale through your nose, then slowly exhale or breathe out through your mouth. When you are doing that, it also helps the lungs to be able to function properly to excrete this. Then let's make sure that we eat variety of fruits, variety of vegetables and leaves within the locality we find ourselves, so that it can boost our immune system. Because when our immune system are stronger and healthier, we will be able to overcome these conditions. Then natural spices, specifically when pertaining to this condition, don't forget to be adding onions to your food, especially in its raw state, garlic to your food in its raw state, cloves to your meals in its raw state. You can be using as a tea, or you can boil water, add to your cloves, and it also helps with this condition. So whenever we are doing this, eating well, following every precautions that we've talked about, be mindful and get enough time to rest to build your immune system. It will help you and everyone to be able to prevent ourselves from this infectious condition. Thank you.
Thank you so much, our friends and family. Sister Ajua Enchua Asante says, very educating. Big up, bro. Thank you, Sister Ajua. And Sister Christiana Sapon says, well done, Brother George. Great job, Sister Hannah. May God bless Richmond Media. To everyone who has been able to watch us this afternoon, Sister Doris Rabbi Odro says, wow. We thank you all for your time and everything. The love for Richmond Media is great. To our Brother George Ackon and family, we say, may the good Lord continue to bless you as you journey through life. May all the goodness fall on you. Today,
Amen.
we have come to the end of the program. As we are late for the next program, please don't forget to join us as we start from the beginning. Have a great week. And once again, every week, the same time, 3 o'clock UK time to 4 p.m. is health issues. Come along, come on board, call family and friends to join us as we journey through together so that we can live longer than the expected time. May God bless us all. Have a great week. My name is Hanna Bimah. Thank you.